Yeah, let's look at what we have. Let's see how it looks on the actual masterclass store. There it is. That's the list of categories, and they come straight from the index, the category index. Well, not straight, because we aren't using the category index directory. We are using the catalog library, but catalog library beneath the covers uses the category index to fetch this. Now, I had to do something naughty to make my solution work again. So I did copy a bit of extra code here that I did not show you before the break, but I will go through it slowly so you know what I did. I made 3 changes. I added a query parameter called slug of type string to the action itself. So what this means is that we'll be able to pass a parameter. Oops, chat, let me see what happens. Okay. Yeah, so we can pass a slug and have it not only display the category list, but also display the subcategories of the selected category. So we're bringing in a real URL this time, where we target another route called category, and we pass it the slug of this category that of each of the categories really. So that's a major change, and we'll look at that how that is working in just a minute. But the third change I did is a little bit more tricky, in that this is an additional feature that allows us to show the currently selected category, including its subcategories. So let's look at what happens here. Before, we had no mapping of this categories list, but now we make it depending on whether or not the selected slug, that's the one we pass from the query parameter through there. If that is the slug of the category at play, then we map its subcategories using a call to the same method that we're in. But we also call catalog library once again to get the categories. If we're not on the selected slug, we just return an empty list of categories. We're not interested in showing all of the subcategories. Remember, this is an expensive operation potentially. Not that expensive because we're an index, but imagine you had 100 categories and each of them had 100 subcategories. That would be 10,000. So that would be way too expensive. Also, probably not the best user experience anyway. But let's see if this works. So I built my site, and I have done so this time. So let's look at a bike and see if it works. Yeah, the slug is sent as a query parameter to this new route category, and our category list is expanded. Nice. Any questions so far? This is super simple though, and it will break down, because if you there's a couple of things here that when you click around on your own machine, you'll notice that if you then select the subcategory, it will not select the same necessarily, or it will be empty, because the slug is really just the lowest level of the category selected. So that's a task for you to improve on your own, I think, to make it keep the menu open when you select the sub menu. But we're not going to focus on that today. We're going to go on and display what's in the category instead. I mean,
actually, Søren, before you do that, maybe you should give the great people of the internet a chance to implement it on their own.
Oh yeah, sorry, I'm way too fast.
You're too fast.
Yep.
So once you've implemented this stuff, Søren is going to show you how the Bolt API works inside of the get root category call, just so you get a sense of how Bolt is being wrapped by the API, because right now it looks very familiar to what you've seen before. The only difference is really the GUIDs there on line 40 that are being loaded up instead of being available via lazy loaded child collection. So but first, get coding. We'll do.
Let's move along. And
Right.
luckily, it just so happens that I should be saying this now, but you actually already have the finished version of all the code. You just don't know it, but it's in a different branch. So once this presentation or this workshop is over, you can always go to the branch called solution, and then you'll have the finished code. So don't worry that you will lose whatever I say. It will be captured there. Okay. So before the break, Søren promised that I would be showing you some of the low-level code, and that is correct. However, I will not dig into the get root categories method. Instead, I will implement the masterclass category controller, because in there we need to leave the high-level API, the catalog library, and go straight to the category index. Okay. So the reason is that we have based our URL scheme on a query parameter called slug, and many other places we're using GUIDs as the way to look up a category, for instance. If you recall from the catalog library, you could pass in a GUID, get the catalog or the categories, the root categories. But this time we have a slug, so we'll need to look up the GUID to get to the products that is in this category. And for this to happen, we need to have these two things available. The catalog library will still be needing that a little bit later, but the category index, I think it's the first we'll be needing. Because the category model, let's look at it, contains a URL, a name, description, subcategories, and products. And our aim now is to fill the products property with actual product view models. So let's do that. Let's see if we can find the category, the selected category. So this is new. We don't have a method on the catalog library just to get a category from the slug. So we'll have to use the category index. And the category index has a method called find. It has certain overloads. If you're interested, we can always get back to that. But for now, just use the basic one. And as Søren presented earlier, there's a few link-like methods on this interface where we can give it a predicate and it will search the category index. This time, it's a lambda where I'll just call it cat, otherwise there'll be a conflict, where a cat.slug is, equal to the slug that was passed in the query parameter. And we just need one, so we'll do first a default. It might be that it doesn't exist. We'll wait and ignore that for now, but this should be handled, of course, with a 404. I'm not doing this today. Next thing is to get the actual products for the currently selected category. So let's do a result set. Product. This time it's a little bit easier because we can actually get by using the catalog library. Catalog library has a method called getProducts that just takes a list of goods. No, it also there's actually one that takes a category good, so we'll use that instead. And I got the type wrong. It's not a result set. It's a what? Huh? It is a result set. Well, I must have mistyped it. Sorry about that. Okay, so now we have enough to fill this category view model with the basic details. We have the name. We can say the category, display name. Remember, the display name is language specific at this point because we're getting it back from an index that is specific to each language. So you want to use the display name. Name is more an internal thing that you can disambiguate products or categories with. So how does it know which language? Well, that's a good question. Thanks for asking. There is such a service, as you might recall. It's called iLocalization context. And if you do not override or specify it anywhere, it will use the iLocalization context, look up the currently selected locale and use that index. But you can also override using the find method. So there's a culture info you can pass here. If you, for instance, want it to be part of the URL for some reason. All right, display name is locale specific. What else? We need the description, basic stuff. And we need also let's do a URL at this point as well. Let's make it a combination of the category part, and then let's put in the slug here. Oops, just need that. It's not really used anywhere. I can disclose so much that it's not going to provide a link to itself. So, but let's put it in there anyway, just to repeat what the URL scheme of this particular web shop is going to be. All right. Let's do the simplest thing that can actually work. Just an empty list of products. Let's build it. Let's click on category. I expect at least to be able to see the name of the category and the description at this point. I don't expect to see any products because we just used a blank list of products here. Alrighty. Let's see if it works with the sub. Oh, well, it works too. Nice. So let's get the products in there. And you'll see a general pattern forming here that in this style of coding that we suggest, you have a main action, and then you map stuff out like sub objects that you want to provide to the category, to the view model. So let's create a method here called map products, and let's pass it the products. Yeah. And I think I'm going to be a little bit lazy here because it's mostly going to be stuff that you've seen already. So I'm going to copy from an already prepared thing. And let's leave this out for now. So what it does is it just selects on this list that we're given of products and selects a new product view model with the name and URL and the prices. We'll get to that. Don't worry about it. But let's see if this can possibly work for now. And I'll do the same trick just to iterate fast, produce something that that works, and then refine it later on. Am I moving too slow or too fast for your taste? No responses. This is definitely moving too slow for my taste, but that's just ASP.NET. Okay, so we got the products in here. We got a URL, and yeah, so far so good. We still do not have the prices here, so maybe that could be one way to go. We could also make the product details listing, but tell you what, let's add the prices first, because it feels like that's the last thing we need to do to make this complete. So let's see what we can do with prices. So if I just create for prices inside of this map products, then I would be shooting myself in the foot, because we're inside a loop. The select is effectively a for each loop. So we definitely do not want to just select one price at a time here. That would be dumb. And we've got the unit prices, but we need the real prices. The unit prices are part of this product model that Søren showed you earlier. Let's go there. So unit prices. Unit prices is a price at the quantity of one. But it's not really interesting for a website. We need the real price. So we need to do a price calculation, or rather, we need to do a series of price calculations in advance. The reason is, if we do it, as I said, one by one, it will take too long. Don't want to do that. So we'll add a price calculation in here. And again, cheating. Sorry about that, but you can cheat too once you get the code. So the catalog library is able to calculate prices. It will look quite a bit different from the old masterclass material, in where it was all based on calculating one price at a time. But here, we need to pass a list of GUIDs, right? Otherwise, that's just no way of calculating a single price, unless you really want to pass just a single GUID wrapped in a list. Please don't do that. So we've got a result from the price calculation, but it's not really useful yet. We need to be aware that this is in itself a list. So it does contain a property called items, which is an iList of some item where the actual prices are. And they refer back to the product and the price group, by the way, but that's a detail for now. We need to sort it out after we got all the price calculation results back, so we can know which price go with which product. And where should we do that? I mean, the obvious place would be to do it somewhere down here, wouldn't it? Because that's where we're dealing with the individual product, not the list of products. So I think for now we'll pass this along. We'll have to give prices to this here, and we'll add a parameter. Okay, so price, what should the price be? I mean, we'll have to look it up. So yeah, let's do it. We'll have to look it up, and we'll also have to map the price. So let's start by looking it up. We have the prices, we have the items. We can do an in-memory query. That is important. It's cheaper than asking an index or a database to find the correct item. So let's see, price, lambda, where price, oops, product good equals product good. Yeah, nice. Okay, compiler isn't happy, and the reason is that the types are wrong. So we need a, let's see, actually it's not the where, it's the first at default. Yeah. Okay, so we want to select a single price. Sorry about that. But the type is still wrong, because what first at default returns is a price calculation result.item type, but we need a price view model type. So we'll have to map it somehow. So we'll have to map price. Again, same pattern. Create a new method. Okay. Oops. This is called a price, and we'll have to return a new price model. We need to fill in the blanks. And again, I'll just cheat a little bit here, because it's really boring code. It's really boring code.
And I think if I can jump in here, this price bit here is where new meets old, basically. So all the prices are coming out of SQL, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, Son.
Yep, you're right.
And Marketing Foundation is coming into play like you're used to as well. So it will slow down performance of this thing. We are we're going to use the prices that are stored within the index to do this. And we are going to transition Marketing Foundation to work off of Bolt as well. But for now, as soon as you start touching the price calculation here, it will use the existing stuff, but we'll refine it and create a more elegant solution for you guys.
Thank you. And yeah, so we're concerned today with making it work, and it doesn't work if the price is null. So I'll just for now return an empty price view model. So at least we can proceed. Why wouldn't it be there? Well, it is. So, but there may be cases where if you give the price group IDs yourselves and the price hasn't been created in that price group, that could potentially be a null coming out of this query here. So that's the safety belt. And I think one last thing we need to do is probably add it to the category thing is the prices there. Yeah, so this will check whether or not the price is null and display the price. So we could also just have gotten by with returning null as a price. That would have been okay too. Right, so let's build it and see how it behaves. Build successful. No prizes? What? That's interesting. Your price? Your price? Price including tax? Can anybody see what's wrong? Actually, this may be the case that the price is null at this point, that we're not getting the price back from the price calculation. Well, the price calculation really is one of the areas that need quite a bit of refinement before we're ready. So this could be it. And I think for that reason, I'll just skip over it and pretend nothing happened. You get the general idea of how it's done, but there will be a few places here and there where it's not ready yet, okay? At least what we have is a link for a product page. And I think we'll do that now, right? So the link goes to a URL that says masterclass/product. We decided that ourselves. That's what we decided here. And we're passing the slug of the product as a query parameter. And you're not tied to any specific way of setting this up. You can build your own URL scheme if you want and handle it yourself. But this is what we selected for the masterclass, and let's see what happens if we click this. Well, there's already something in there, but that's clearly not enough. There's just the standard bits of the UI with the add to basket, and it will fail if we try to click.